What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail. The Chicago, they don't say what about. So in the thumbnail is a picture of a young man named Elias Valdez, right? He's 15 years old. He got killed 2020 by a 17-year-old in a drug deal where Elias ran off with the weed and the guy chased him down and stabbed him to death. So the kid, the drug dealer happened to be a white kid in Chicago in a nice neighborhood, right? So they go to trial and the kid gets probation and 3 years of probation and 100 hours of community service because the judge said, he doesn't want to ruin his bright future because he comes from a two-parent household, and he's just going to have to live with this for the rest of his life. And Elias's family is like, this is white privilege. So they protest outside the courtroom. Now, when people talk about what about Chicago, they leave this type of stuff out. This ain't the first time this happened. Now, they don't want to put the guy's picture or name in the paper because they're trying to, he's a minor. But here's the interesting thing. If I'm not mistaken, 17 years old is still legal in Chicago. So, the stuff you talk about with R. Kelly and the girls, if they're 17, they're legal. So they can consent as adults at 17. And beyond that, I think it was either 15 to 16 was the age that you can try somebody as an adult. So now all of a sudden, and the reason I know that is because one of my classmates got like 43 years when I was in high school for a murder. So now all of a sudden, we're just gonna, hey, it's a white kid, so he's got a bright future ahead of him. Oh, Jimmy, oh my God, you're such a good kid. You just did something wrong. Now the DA basically said, this is what can happen. This is a drug deal. So the young kid who got stabbed, who was a freshman or a sophomore, he's just as responsible because he was out here buying drugs. So if you're out here buying drugs and you get stabbed to death because you tried to run away, you deserve to die. Other kid deserves to go home. Now, when people go, what about Chicago? These kind of stories don't pop up. These type of incidents. And I'm here to tell you, it's nothing new. But you don't hear this being spread out like national news, right? Because why? White kid, Hispanic kid. Now you can say that, the Hispanic community knows this all too well. So they don't need nobody like me speaking about it. They just don't speak on it like that. When it's convenient, white. When it's inconvenient, you wind up in a situation like this. So I'm sure they're up in arms about that. But for the people who are in Chicago and the more Caucasian part, right? This is what y'all kids do. Y'all kids deal drugs. You know that. He's from a two-parent household in a nice place that hadn't had a homicide since 2004. So now he's a killer, but hey, since you come from a nice neighborhood and a nice family, you got one body. One body doesn't count. And as a black man, I can say, telling a white person they got to live with themselves after they kill somebody who's not white, they live just fine. Or kill somebody that is white, they live just fine. Like they suffer from affluenza, like killing. There's no guilt in killing somebody. They're gonna go party. You have a celebration, drink some beers at 17 with their family, have a barbecue, like, yes, my baby's home. Oh. A couple of years go by, dad's gonna pat him on the back. That's my boy. Stab him to death. Stab him to death, Jimmy. That's what I'm talking about. They're gonna be making jokes every time they go to eat some Hispanic food. You remember when you're gonna get, remember when you stabbed that such and such? Let's go get some tacos, Jimmy. That's my boy. So, and the judge, it's like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Now, when people think about the justice system and disparity and racial disparity, this is what it is. It's not outside of the norm. It's not, I can't believe this happened. I remember, like I told a story, going to a football camp in Ann Arbor, and some white kids got caught by the cops with, a gram less than an ounce. And they just took the weed and ran and said, look, go back to the room. And the kids were like, we do this all the time. It's not a big deal. And we was like, yeah, if we did that, it'd definitely be a big deal. They'll add a gram on to that joint, make it an ounce, and then have us be felons. We'll get a RICO charge out of this joint. But when I talked about, white criminality, this is how things keep happening, But people want to act like they don't know what's going on, but we all know what's going on, The complexion for the protection, right? So like, share, subscribe, or die. Try and catch you on the next one. Peace.